today is from Camaret, heading towards Audierne. I forget the name of the place where we're going, AUD something or other. To be honest, the destination is almost not the important part of the journey. What we're doing today is we're going through the Raz de Sein, and the Raz has got a terrible reputation among sailors. It's something you really have to get right. We've done the Chanel de Four on a previous sail, and that was considered quite technical and you have to get your timing right, but this one's even more critical. Thankfully the Raz itself is quite small. It only takes about half an hour to get through, and the key is to arrive at slack tide. So there's about 40 minutes of slack tide. It starts about an hour before high water in Brest, which is the local sort of primary port, and goes till about 20 minutes. So for us today, that is about 1:40 through till about 2:20. It is now 11 o'clock, so we've got several hours to get to the Raz because we've got a bit of a journey to get there, and then we'll be passing through it. And fingers crossed, if we get this right, we will be passing through when there is very little tide. And then the tide will sort of go high and go the other way again once we're through the other side. So the tidal stream that's running through the Raz, that can be very fast indeed and quite dangerous and rough, shouldn't really be doing much at all. One advantage we've got today is it's actually neaps tide. So neaps and springs tide are when it's either the highest of high at spring and it's the lowest of high at neaps, so there's the least flow. So that's a bonus. So even when it is moving, it shouldn't be moving as much, which is just a stroke of luck really. That happens every week or two, and yeah, that just happens to be the timing that we're going through right now. We left Camaret about an hour ago now, which is actually quite a tricky exit. It's a bit hard to see on the GoPro, but there's some sort of craggy rocks that you have to go between, which on a chart look really, really close. They're actually a few hundred metres apart from each other, so there's plenty of room to get through. And we've done that now, so that's all good. And we're just on a bit of open water, so we went through the tricky bits here, and we've now got a big bit of open water which takes us all the way down to here where we go through the Raz, where we've got the complicated bit. So we're sailing at the moment with most of the sail out. We've got the Yankee out on the front, and we've got most of the main out on the back. We've got a tiny little bit reefed, and we're fairly close hauled, going about 4 or 5 knots through the water and about nearly 5 knots over ground. So at the moment we're on time and all is good. This guy's been trying to overtake us for the last hour and a half. There's the dolphin. Yeah, this guy's been trying to overtake us. He's a bigger boat than us, which means in theory he should be faster. Oh, look at the special dolphin parade. There we go. Following us along nicely, aren't they? Vanished. So this is the boat that's been overtaking us for, since we left Camaret. It's been sort of shadowing us for about 2 hours. And finally they've got us. They're definitely pulling past us. What's fun is they've kind of got they've got dolphins on their bow. I think they're coming across to see us now. Dolphins just love arsing around. Fish and often follow fishing boats and stuff like that. Dolphins that have eaten well just like to arse around. They splash around in the waves, they splash around with different boats. When we first saw dolphins on a boat, we thought it was such a special thing, such a once in a lifetime thing, and yet in these parts dolphins are here like all the time. They're just everywhere. I don't want to get blasé about them because they're beautiful creatures and it's always great to see them. Always puts a smile on your face, but it's certainly not a rare event. boat that's overtaking us is pretty damn close. It's a very beautiful boat, great colours. The guy's just cool as a cucumber who's sat on the back of it, some old dude. But like, yeah, he's not far away at all. We're now getting a little bit closer to the Raz. So if you look on my chart plotter, you can see that yeah, we're about a mile or two away from it. What I also do is I use my phone, if you can see that without any reflections on it, it's a bit tricksy, because I can put a marker just at the top of the Raz, which is the critical sort of bit for timing, and that gives me a quite accurate ETA, which is currently saying 13:39, you know, close to 13:40, which is exactly the time we need to be there. So we're spot on at the moment, although part of the reason for that is because we've opted to put the engine on, and we're motor sailing at the moment just to keep our speed up. We were getting slower and slower with the sailing, so the wind's easing off a little bit. We've only got 9 knots of wind now, so we just weren't going as fast as I would like, so we put the engine on to make sure we get there on time. Also, there's a tiny bit of jeopardy because we're going to Audierne Marina. We'd emailed them in advance, hoping to make a reservation, and then when I phoned to confirm the reservation this morning, they said they're not taking reservations for boats our size, only if we were over 15 metres, which we're not. So he kind of went, it's first come first served, just get there, you know, as soon as you can, and you're more likely to get a spot. If we don't get a spot there, it's actually a little bit of a pain in the ass. We won't know until we're up the estuary and up the river at the marina, which means we'll have to do a U-turn, come out and then find another port, which means we'll be sailing well into the evening, and I really don't want to do that. So we're keen to get there as early as possible. So one of the reasons, yeah, we've got the engine on is that boat that was overtaking us, we've overtaken it again, and it's one extra spot in the marina if he happens to be going to the same place we are. So we can't go any faster to get into the Raz because there's a particular time slot we need to be when we're there, but the second we're through the Raz, our engine's going to be on full and we're going to be giving it some beans to try and get ahead of as many boats as possible, because some bad weather expected tomorrow, and yeah,
it's the Bastille Day.
Oh, it's also Bastille Day tomorrow, which means I don't know how every marina can be suddenly busier than every other marina, because it's the same number of boats that are out, but apparently everywhere's busy because it's Bastille Day. So so yeah, so there's a bit of jeopardy, but normally we should be concerned on this journey about a jeopardy of the tide and going through the Raz. The reality is the biggest jeopardy is getting a spot in the bloody marina when we get there. So yeah, we're just going to try and go through as fast as we can, and hopefully it'll all work out okay.
The Raz de Sein is a serious place. On the chart it looks pretty straightforward and benign. It is anything but and needs treating with the utmost respect. Wind over tide kicks up some impressive broken water, and it is best to avoid the areas on the chart where overfalls are shown.
I would say we definitely haven't got a mill pond, but equally we haven't got like a bubbling cauldron of sea. So yeah, it's looking okay. There's an island off the sort of starboard side there, which we're keeping inside, and the aim is there's a lighthouse, and then to the right of that lighthouse there's a yellow and black cardinal buoy, and we're just sticking to the right of that. Like a lot of people at the moment, we're motor sailing, we've got our engine on, and I think so are those boats over there, just because we've got the wind on our nose going in the direction we want to go to. Once we're around that corner, we should be able to turn to the left a little bit and start sailing once more. But there you go, so far the Raz looks okay, but we're only at the start of it really. Our timing's good though. We're getting here at, well, it's 1:30 now, and we're going to be like 10-15 minutes away from getting into it proper, which is when the slack tide starts. So yeah, all good. So this is it, we're going through the Raz proper. We're just passing the cardinal buoy and the lighthouse just behind me. They're a few hundred meters away. We're just turning the corner now to follow the headland round. It's pretty calm, to be honest. It's a little bit bumpy, but this is the whole plan. We're through at slack water, it's quite calm, no big strong tidal currents or anything like that. it's almost like if you make a good plan, it turns out that the conditions aren't that bad. But yeah, I think we've had a little bit of luck as well. We're now on the last leg of our journey, just approaching Audierne, which I've just figured out how to pronounce. And so we've got a little bit of a complicated path up the river, but should be easy enough, he says. We've got a little bit of tide underneath us, a little bit of water depth, so we should be all right. It shouldn't be too shallow or anything. So we'll see how that goes. We're now in Audierne. So it was a fairly easy day's sail really, a little bit bumpy to begin with and swelly. The Raz itself was, I mean, dare I say it, really straightforward. I think we got the timing right, and I think it was neaps, tides and all those kind of stuff. Weather conditions were good, wind blowing the right way, everything was in our favour, so it worked out okay. A couple of hours sail, not even that really, and at 90 minutes from the Raz, and now we're tied up in Audierne, which is a quiet little village, and we're kind of up a river. And we've got some strong southerly winds coming in the next couple of days, so I hope it's nice and safe.
It's way more quiet here, so it's been Camaret, was it Camaret?
Camaret we've just come from, yeah.
It was much busier. The harbour was just really busy with big boats coming and going, and this just feels really peaceful, so it's really nice to be here. Wasn't so keen when we set off this morning because it was raining, it was cloudy, it looked really choppy, wasn't that nice setting off, and then it kind of picked up and the weather settled and the waves settled down just as the weather said it would, but you don't always trust the weather. So it's actually all right, wasn't it? It's quite a nice little journey.
Yeah.
Just glad to be here because the next couple of days we've got quite a lot of wind coming, and we're on the end of the pontoons, and it feels quite safe. We're quite protected. So, and it's what is it today?
Bastille Day.
Bastille tomorrow. But today in Audierne they've got a ball of dancing in the town square and fireworks. So we need to, like, I don't know what we wear for such a ball in a French town square. But we'll be doing that, won't we? So that's fun. Absolutely. And in theory, we've finished the last of the technical sails for a while. Yay.
Between here and La Rochelle is pretty much easy sailing. So it's just, we say that famous last words. So we're hoping if we just get another like 30, 40 miles further to the southeast, it's just going to remain warmer and sunnier and less windy and just really pleasant holiday conditions rather than, it's been a bit bracing at times over the last few days. So there you go. That's Camaret to Audierne.